Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to show you a band saw, and this is from a company called Einhell. Now this one here is £144 from Amazon, and it's the cheapest one I can find. Now this is how it comes from Amazon, and you can see that the box is actually destroyed by the courier. Hopefully it doesn't destroy what is underneath it. And if you turn it around, most of these are actually in German, so I don't really understand what it says on the box, but I understand that this is supposed to be a toolless setup. Now my video is not scripted, so I have no idea about bandsaw. I'm just going to open it as a DIYer, so if I can do it, I guess anyone of you guys watching can do it as well. And if you like to comment about choosing between a bandsaw and a table saw, feel free to put it in the comment section. One day I will have a table saw, but for now I'm going to stick with the bandsaw. So here we have a little tool for you to push the timber along the cut area. You have bags of bolts and screws. You got a, I think it's extending rail on the side. Here you have the cutting table with some marking on the top. Okay, it looks like it wasn't damaged during transit, which is great. Got a big motor on the side here. So I spent the last few minutes reading up the menu and just to see what I need to do before I can actually cut something from it. And there is no quick start guide. Instructions are written really well in English, but there is no graphics explanation of what to do. It gives you instructions in lines of how to do it. There is kind of a picture illustration of the parts, but it doesn't tell you how to put it together. So, I mean, some common sense is required right here. So basically, you got these rubber feet to help to dampen the vibration. And they all come in one bag. So I got the hex kind of a nut, which goes inside the rubber feet, I guess, because there is no instruction. And there is a washer, and there is a standard kind of a nut. There are 4 kind of holes drilled, which kind of common sense dictate where the feet is supposed to be. So I guess it goes like this, and then you have the washer on this side. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the washer on this side of the bolts, and then the nuts on top. Alright, so now the table is on. It's pretty solid. It's held on by the 2 black iron with washer. Suppose the inner mechanism, you've got 2 catch on the side here, which you turn it. I find it easy if I just put pressure on it and turn it to the max, and then it will pops open. And same as here, if I just put pressure on it before I turn the wheels, once it loosens up the grip, then you can open it. As you can see, there's 2 wheels here driving the blade up from this way, down from that way, and cutting into the wood. Where you push the wood forward here, the blade is going, the teeth is going downwards. That's how you cut the wood. If a hand turns the wheel here, at the moment the bend is pretty straight in the middle of the 2 wheels, and you adjust the tension by doing this knob. This knob will move this big wheel up and down. Obviously, move it up will tension it, move it down with less tension. And it has a kind of a slant to the wheel itself. So the tighter it is, the more likely the blade will come towards you. And if it comes off the wheel, or if it comes too far off, it hits this guide and it will blunt the blade. And that's how your blade will get ruined. Just turning it clockwise, it stays in one place. If I push the blade, it doesn't look like there's too much. There is not too much play, and you can actually hear a metal noise when you flick the blade. In terms of the pin, there's 2 pins here and the 2 pins bottom here, which kind of pinch the blade, so that when you are moving the object, twisting it, it will kind of force it to be in the middle. I need to adjust that to a more narrow tolerance. But in terms of the blade tension, I think I'm just going to leave it because it kind of bang on in the middle. So you got 2 pins here which can go forward and backward, and it pinches the blade so it doesn't go too far off the track. And also you have a kind of a bearing at the back which kind of stop the blade from going that direction too far. So when you push the piece of wood against this, it will press into the blade and the blade kind of hits the bearing. So that's how these mechanisms work. And there is no picture explaining what you should do, but I think you just have to suss it out yourself. I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. And the other thing is I have a bit of difficulty just now putting the blade through because of the bad kind of a slicing here. They cut through the metal that way and they left a bit of a blur behind here. So I just need to get rid of that, and then I managed to put the blade through. Now there's one of these mechanism up here and there's another one down here. The same format. You want the pin to be pinching onto the blade with about 1 mil on each side, so you've got some gaps for it so the blade can twist. And then you want the bearing to be just touching the back of the blade, so when you push something against it. So this is my final check before I actually power it up. So I got the top and bottom pulley cover opened, and I'm just going to hand spin this thing around to make sure that the blade is actually moving up and down without any catching. You can move the blade from both up and down, and the blade is not coming off the wheel. And the other thing that the blade can catch is obviously the table here, or this part where the blade actually goes through the metal here. It's kind of protecting the blade from coming off completely. But if the blade start hitting this part of the metal, it will get blunt and it will not work anymore. You have this bracing bracket which goes up here, and then you put the 2 blocks down from the top, and then you use the ring nuts to secure this piece of bracing between the 2. Push stick holder, I think this goes on the side here, and that's it. That is done. So I'm going to power it up and see what we can do with this. Now this is live. Let me try and turn it on. Okay, so nothing like grinding noise or anything like that. It's just smooth operating motor noise. So let's say I want to cut up this piece of wood. So there we go. I have done 2 pass on this wood right here, as you can see. So this piece come off, and you can see that is pretty much a clean cut, and it doesn't have that big noise as well. So one of the reasons for buying a band saw is not just to do straight cut. Obviously straight cut you can do it with a table saw, but what the table saw can't do is to cut curves. Let's say I want to cut a shape like an S shape. So, you know, I did go off the line, but to be honest with you, if I have better control over this small piece of timber, then I can do a much better cut than this. But if you can see that the curve is a nice kind of a clean cut on the curve right here, and that is exactly why a band saw is what I wanted. and it cuts it through like butter. With a bit of practice and understanding your tool, the bandsaw, how the blade actually bends to cut, you can cut really complex shape out of it. Obviously this is freehand, I'm not following any path and stuff like that, but this is exactly why a bandsaw is so versatile in your toolbox. And for 140 pounds, this is, I think this is a very good machine. I am a bit disappointed about the cutting depth of this machine. For example, if I do need to cut very thick material, there is not a lot of space between here, because this I moved the top half of the guide to the top already. You can make it smaller by turning this thing down, and this will give you more rigid blade, so you can't push the blade too far apart to the side to angle. But at the same time, the thickest material that I can fit through here is just below the 3-inch mark. So the thickest material I can cut through is 3 1/4 inch. 3 1/4 inch, which is plenty, but I would like to have a bigger cutting capacity. But for that, you have to pay at least double or triple the price of this machine. My plan is to have a vacuum attachment over there in line with the switch, so whenever I cut something, it will get vacuum so I don't leave a mess behind. And I want it to actually sit inside this bench that I made from my last video. So it would be nice to have it at this location, maybe between the I can have it actually between the rafter here, and then basically the machine will be over that side, the cutting blade. So I just push wood over there, and then the hoover is already kind of have a space for the hoover right underneath there. Anyway, so this is a rough video on this machine. If I run into any problem, I will run a update video, but so far I do like the smooth action. It might look a bit dangerous when I'm operating this machine, but to be honest with you, because the blade is not going to go moving over here, and I know the piece of wood is not going to be thrown forward and backwards, I am quite comfortable using this machine in my workshop. Thank you very much for watching. I can't wait to see you next time with more interesting gadgets. Bye bye.